The problem we face right now is the atomization of the media universe. And you have a lot of people entering the media world really who are not journalists as much as they are propagandists. There are many challenges the media is facing globally today. Among these are the financial challenge. Many media houses around the world have been suffering financially because of the decentralization of the media universe. And that challenge comes largely from the rise of independent media, social media, mediums such as those. So what that means is people now have many more sources from which they can get their news, and they're tuning into these sources. Now the biggest challenge, and this is, I would say, this is not a problem just for media, this is actually a problem for the world, is that once upon a time when you had media organizations and media institutions who were tasked with mediating the world for our readers, for our viewers, in explaining the world to everyone, I think that was a good system for all, because media institutions and media organizations, television stations, newspapers, we're not perfect, but we do have a certain set of values by and large, and there's a certain set of professional ethics and professional codes. The problem we face right now is the atomization of the media universe. And you have a lot of people entering the media world really who are not journalists as much as they are propagandists. What they do is, there's a wide proliferation of what has come to be known as fake news, which is being purveyed by people who really don't have any standards. And it's not that they don't have any standards, their entire point is in fact to advance their agenda rather than to try and reveal the truth to their readers and their viewers. I think this is one of the biggest challenges which humanity is facing right now. And there are two fundamental challenges which come from this one challenge. The first is people now, instead of tuning in to objective media where they will be educated, where they will learn, where they will be informed, are in fact looking at media which does nothing but reinforce their own pre-existing biases and prejudices. And you see this. The bigger problem, though, the more fundamental problem, is even greater. And that is, at this stage we have a situation where people have essentially given up on the notion that there is such a thing as objective news, there is such a thing as objective truth. Now, let's look at the second question I've been asked to address, which is the future of media here in Bangladesh. Now, in some ways we're fortunate here in Bangladesh because there is still an appetite for hard news. If you look around the world, people are less interested in news, they're less interested in objective news. As I mentioned before, they want to see their own prejudices and biases reinforced, and at the same time they're interested in, celebrity gossip, that kind of stuff. Even if you look across the border to India, which has a very vibrant media environment, still the vast majority of content which drives Indian news is cricket and Bollywood. In Bangladesh, fortunately, we still have a appetite, we still have a market for hard news, and that's a wonderful thing. It makes Bangladesh a great place to be a news practitioner. The biggest challenge we face, quite frankly, is that the space for freedom of expression and freedom of the media is shrinking by the day. The financial model for newspapers and television stations is becoming increasingly challenging, as it has been elsewhere in the world. My hope always is that, as bad as things are right now, that space will open up, that the powers that be, the government, will understand the benefit of allowing more free discussion. I've always believed that a free media is a government's best friend, because when you have a free media, then that helps the government formulate policy, it helps the government correct course when it needs to. It explains to the government what it has done right. It explains to the government what it has done wrong. These kinds of policy discussions which you can have in the media are very important to the smooth running of affairs for any country. The final point I've been asked to address is what suggestions I might have for young journalists or young men and women who seek to be journalists, who are aspiring journalists. So that would be my advice to young journalists and young men and women aspiring to be journalists, is that this is still a worthwhile profession. It is a noble profession. If this is something you choose to do, if this is an industry you choose to make your life in, I am sure that you will feel that it is a rewarding choice. You will feel that it was a life well spent, and that it is a good decision you have made. So with that, I will end. Thank you very much for listening.